Welcome to the Winged Wheel Podcast, the number one source for news, analysis, and discussion on the Detroit Red Wings, the NHL, and all things hockey. Here are your hosts, Ryan Hanna, Brad Crisco, and Evan Lopsinger.
Bit of a late start to the process, but good of Dylan to continue his Red Wings future teammate recruiting campaign today, allowing both Quinn and Jack Hughes to assist on his what should have been the game-winning goal for Team USA, but on the opening goal of the game.
It's like seeing into the future.
Yeah. It's like, get the vibes going. I think you can give Dylan probably 90% of the credit for Quinn's overtime goal, obviously. He got him, warmed up, ramped up for that, gave him the confidence. Then Quinn mentioned something about Larkin in the postgame. It's as unbiased Red Wings coverage. I think we can say this is all about the Red Wings and Quinn Hughes being destined for the Red Wings.
I was going to say, I hope I see that stat line on a goal in the future, but I know the monkey paw will curl and it won't go the way I want it to.
Hold on. Knock on whatever wood you have around you. If you're driving, stop your car and find something.
It's a good thing. That's not good because that means he's going to Minnesota because he's not going to New Jersey with the state that they're in right now. So at least it'd be in the West.
It is tough to watch Lucas Raymond try to drag that Swedish team kicking and screaming, though. It wasn't fair that one of those two guys couldn't move on to the semis.
Well, Sweden should have had a better round robin play, and they could have maybe avoided a quarterfinal matchup against the United States.
Which we'll cover. All right, folks. Welcome to the Winged Wheel Podcast. Back in studio, here to talk to you about all things Detroit Red Wings hockey, Olympic hockey updates to the world of the NHL, and lots more. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Hanna.
I'm Brad Crisco.
And I'm Evan.
On this episode of the Winged Wheel Podcast, we are going to be recapping the Olympic tournament to date as the quarterfinals just wrapped up as Team USA beat Sweden in overtime and set up our two semifinal matchups. We're going to be giving you Red Wings updates and then whatever other NHL news we get into before overtime. Very quickly, we are just over a month away from Winged Wheel Podcast Night at the LCA. Saturday, March 21st, that's the game against the Boston Bruins. Winged Wheel Podcast Night at the LCA is our partnered event with the Detroit Red Wings where we host a live episode of the Winged Wheel Podcast at Little Caesars Arena pregame featuring Ken Daniels and other special guests. So your tickets not only get you discounted access to the Red Wings game, they also get you access to that pregame live recording of the show. And you get a Winged Wheel Podcast and Detroit Red Wings officially licensed limited edition hat. It is a Centennial themed hat with the red and cream colorway, the Red Wings Centennial logo on the front, and our Winged Wheel Podcast logo on the side. Plus, every ticket purchase represents a donation to the Jamie Daniels Foundation. So, wingedwheelpodcast.com/Red Wings to get your tickets, or go to the link in the description. Before we jump into Olympic recaps, we're nothing if not creatures of habits, boys. We did it once again. We forgot to make note of our anniversary in the episode preceding the anniversary. So on the 13th was the 11th anniversary of the Winged Wheel Podcast.
That's why it didn't matter. This is the 11th year, we got to 10, now we'll care about 15, and then you do 25, and then...
Whoa, we're not even going to do 20?
And that's 75.
And then we'll be back for the Centennial.
Yes.
And then Brad will somehow look the exact same, but somehow we'll have aged 200 years simultaneously. So thank you all for 11 years of the show. 900. I think this is episode 900 right now, actually, if I remember correctly. We are near 9.5 million downloads and views, and we, as usual, are completely blown away that we went from Brad's kitchen to Brad's basement, dodging spiders the size of Brad's head, to the studio at my place now. The fact that we're all still doing this and we're talking about 11 years is
hard to believe.
You'd think our job is words because we have absolutely no words for it.
Yeah.
It's fun to think that during our 11th anniversary is the first time there's been best on best Olympic hockey.
What a great transition. So it's been quite a bit of Olympic hockey that's been played between our last episode where we covered it, because the episode prior to this one was a pre-recorded roundtable with Max and Prashanth, which you should go listen to. But we only covered the first day of the tournament, essentially. And now we're wrapped up through the quarterfinals, and all but one Red Wings player is out to the tournament. Dylan Larkin's the only one who remains. Where do we want to start?
Maybe just start with the most recent events and work our way backwards.
Yeah. Well, let's lead off with the game that just wrapped up, which was Team USA beats Team Sweden 2-1 in overtime, thanks to Quinn Hughes scoring that overtime winner. Dylan Larkin scoring his first career Olympic goal to open scoring in what was a very tight, defensive, kind of dull affair, dare I say.
I feel like this should have been predictable for this game, but obviously I didn't predict this for this game because you don't get a lot of 1-1 games in the Olympics, but the U.S. left a lot of goal scoring off the roster, and Sweden, through injuries and underperformances, has not been able to generate easy offense. So I think both teams went into this game leaning on the defensive end of things to really carry them, and because of that, we got what we got.
The biggest thing, obviously, I think, was, at least in regulation, Dylan Larkin opening scoring, because it very much felt like one of those games where nothing could get going. It was really hard for either team to generate their offense. There were some premier chances. Lucas Raymond was all over the ice for the Swedes as usual, but it felt like whoever was going to score first would control that game. So Larkin opened scoring. It was the redirect in front, very smart redirect in front. And I mean, really good redirects was the theme of today in the quarterfinals. But Larkin opened scoring, and Team USA was leading up until essentially the very end, where Lucas Raymond, with a beautiful cross-seam pass, finds Mika Zibanejad, who scores, and with, what was it, a minute 31 left or something like that, Sweden ties it and sends that game to overtime. I say the same thing after the Canadian-Czech overtime, so this isn't biased. 3-on-3 overtime for elimination games sucks. Can't stand it. At least do 4-on-4. Maybe I'm an old head, but regardless, Sweden had their chances. They had control of the puck to start overtime quite a bit, but it never really felt like they threatened at all. It was like a microcosm of their entire tournament.
They were so timid with the puck in overtime. They were not driving. They were essentially just playing risk-free hockey. We have the puck, which means they don't have the puck. Mission accomplished. And the irony of all ironies is the first time they really took a true shot attempt on an ill-advised one-timer attempt from Landeskog led to the turnover. Sweden never got it back. But man, that was a masterclass in how to not play a 3-on-3 by Sweden. Just try to funnel nothing to the middle. Skated themselves into dead ends a couple times, and then the first shot attempt they took was a shot that, even if Landeskog connected on it, had no chance of going in from there. And c'est la vie. And then, I mean, love the guy, genuinely. But what the hell is Gabriel Landeskog doing on the ice in a 3-on-3? And then he gets matched up in the D zone against Quinn Hughes. Anybody on the face of the earth could have told you that game was ending at that moment. There was no chance that he was going to be able to stop him.
They were talking about, the Swedes didn't even want to go near Quinn Hughes. He's so shifty. Like, yeah, 100% true. He's one of the most difficult players to defend when he has that much time and space in the world. But it felt like the matchups that were out there, they never stood a chance. Biased again, but Lucas Raymond wasn't out there to start overtime at the very least. And with something as chaotic as 3-on-3 overtime, I'm putting my best guys out there. The guy who has points in every single game in the tournament, Lucas Raymond. Mind you, I say that, and the first time that I think the puck touched his stick, or one of the first times he literally fell over in the offensive zone. So,
Yeah, he had a couple banana peels on his skates today, but Sweden was going to have a tough time matching up against the States in regulation, let alone overtime. It was just a matter of time. And to come to Gabe Landeskog's defense, there's how many players on Sweden could go one-on-one with Quinn Hughes? How many people on the planet can go one-on-one with Quinn Hughes? Especially in 3-on-3,
yeah,
where there's a lot more ice and a lot less physicality. So, yeah, all in all, I would say a fairly disappointing tournament for Sweden. You know, they finished third in their pool when everyone basically had them as a lock to win it. They just looked uninspired the whole time. It just, it is maybe this is one of the moments where they need to kind of reinvent the wheel with how they construct their rosters, because in this game, even though it went to overtime and it could have went either way, it really didn't feel like Sweden had any real chance or any real threatening moments in the game.
No, fully agree. Like I said, even when it went to 3-on-3 overtime, I was like, I don't feel like Sweden's going to win this. The States haven't touched the puck in 30, 40 seconds in overtime. I'm like, the States just feel like the better team right now. And credit to them. Like, I call it a dull game. That is the best defense in the tournament. It was going in, and that's how they've been playing. And Hellebuck kept it perfect up until Lucas Raymond found Zibanejad across the entire offensive zone with that pass. Like, they have a lot in their favor. Scoring is going to be a question for them in the semis. But, like, you know, if you're a Canadian fan right now, you're looking at that going, that's what the Canadian team's lacking, and that's scary. Not that you're trying to look too far ahead. You have Finland ahead, but still. So let's get into the other quarterfinal matchups before we do a recap of the Red Wings so far. Slovakia and Germany. Let's do that one, because I think the theme of this is two things. One, the outstanding tournament Slovakia has had as a team, led by Juraj Slafkovský, or as we called him last recorded episode in studio, Gretzkovsky, he's absolutely unreal for them. And the other side of it is, I think Germany should be proud of what they did. I think they ran into a team that was playing really well. For sure, they could have, won that game. I don't think they were a lock to lose by any means. I think some odds makers actually had them as the favorites. But all in all, they were a team that threatened and took advantage of opportunities, and they made the quarterfinals, and they just ran into one of the hottest, team playing like a team in the tournament.
Yeah, so I'm surprised so many Americans were happy about the win. They just got the right to get absolutely decimated by Slovakia.
Maybe.
Slovakia is kind of like a U.S. light. Like, they play extremely structured like the U.S. team does. They don't have like that next level of overall talent, but Slovakia plays a team game. They're committed to playing team defense, and then they get very timely scoring. In the sense against Germany, they got a lot of timely scoring, but they're not relying on one guy. Yeah, Juraj Slafkovský is carrying a lot of the offensive load, but Regenda had a 2 or 3 goals today. Like, they're getting scoring up and down the lineup, and they're going to need it against the States. But I would, as a Canadian, I feel more confident playing this iteration of Finland than I would playing this iteration of Slovakia.
You think Slovakia is a stronger team in this tournament as they've played?
I would say if you look at the teams on paper and like their national strength of upper echelon talent, I would say Finland's still the greater hockey nation. But the way the tournament's played out, I think Slovakia's played as well as they can.
And Slovakia beat Finland in this tournament, so there's your watermark for that. And yeah, I think the difference between Slovakia and Germany was Slovakia didn't have the big guns to go toe-to-toe with Draisaitl, Stützle, Peterka, and Seider. But beyond those four, the bottom half of the rosters, or even call it the bottom 3 lines, were starkly in Slovakia's favor the way they were playing.
I don't think there's a ton of margin between the two non-favored semifinal teams, but I agree with what you guys are saying overall in terms of, how Slovakia's been playing. That's what, honestly, I feel like Sweden should be looking at and being like, that was the hallmark of their game in the past. Not that they lack superstars by any means, but it was other, powerhouses, be it the Canadians, the Americans, the Russians. They would always run into a fellow powerhouse in Sweden, but they always seemed to take it to the next level of they'd play the Swedish game, the overall game, the team game, and they would all kind of come together for that and be a much greater than the sum of their parts, which led them to previous international success. But yeah, that's what Slovakia is doing. Alan Walsh tweeted about Miroslav Shatan, who took over the Slovak hockey program when they were at their lowest points, and they've not been exactly spitting out NHLers. Like we talked last 2 episodes ago, I should say, our last recorded episode in studio, about how this isn't the Slovakia of past, which just makes this that much more impressive. So credit to them, and bummer for Germany, but that's what it's going to feel like, right? Like when you're a game away from making the semifinals and playing for a medal no matter what, you should be disappointed you lost. But think about how far Germany has come. I don't think we've seen the last of that nation to...
Draisaitl was playing like 28 minutes a game. Like the tank was empty, and that's not a recipe for long-term success. I know in a single elimination games, anything can go your way, but when your big dogs are playing that much, like the odds of pulling it out are slim.
I think Slovakia's got to be the favorite now with that piece of information you dropped. They handed the reins over to Miroslav Shatan. They literally sold their soul to Satan.
That's right.
They've got... Those are some mystical powers they got behind them now. They're going the whole way.
Something's weird up in those Slovak mountains, man. So they move on. They take on Team USA, and we've seen crazier things this tournament. Now, the Finland-Switzerland game. Talk about
heartbreak, man.
Swiss team was up 2-0 with what, 6 minutes left? Something like that?
Yep.
And credit to the Finns. They take advantage of the Swiss team sitting back and trying to defend the lead, and they score twice with 6 minutes and 6 seconds left. They were down 2-0 before they scored twice, and then they end up winning it in overtime off a Turi Lehkonen shot. So Switzerland was that close to a semifinal berth.
That would have been crazy to just look at it and see Switzerland and Slovakia in the Final Four after everybody was so sure this tournament was going to go chalk. Now, I think you pluck out Slovakia, drop in Sweden, were pretty close to the ultimate result everybody expected. But we were this close to 50% chaos, which would have been so fun.
I think my hot take last time we talked about the Olympics was one of Germany, Switzerland, or Slovakia was going to make the semis, and we were that close to two of them. Yeah.
Yeah, Canada and US are going to battle it out for the bronze medal.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's true.
Both American and Canadian fans will tell you after celebrating today's wins, saying, no, I was puckered for a good bit of that game at some points, for sure.
I was on full doomer alert late in the third period today as a Canadian fan.
Every single organ in my body threw up today.
Yes.
Americans right now wondering, oh my God, are we going to score enough to get a gold medal? Canadians fans wondering, oh my God, do we have any defense to get a gold medal?
Desperately trying to contact that guy from Twitter who's trying to stop aging, being like, can you give whatever you have to Drew Doughty, please? Like now?
It's too late.
And then suddenly Matt Schaefer shows up.
I'll take it. I'll take it. The Finns, though, I agree with what you mentioned earlier, Evan, leading into this. Another team where I'm like, they typically show stronger than they have. I mean, they're in the semis. And
they're coming around now, which is not good if you're a Canadian fan. But they've looked a little disjointed to me as well, a little uninspiring. Hopefully the emotional toll today does not bleed into the next game. Otherwise, Canada might be in trouble. This might be the Finland we were all expecting. But they're in the semis and anything can happen.
And that's the beauty of knockout tournament hockey. It's why I throw away all of this is the optimal path and here's the best teams to play. Like it's such a short tournament.
It's different when it's like your club team, right? When it's your home nation, the country you grew up playing in, being developed in, and like your family has history in.
Unless you're Brett Hull.
It changes the scope of how players play and how they all sort of buy in. Like it's irregular to see players not buy into international hockey.
It's like the moment there is a maple leaf on Mitch Marner's chest, he just goes
becomes
to
a clutch god.
Whole other level. The moment that leaf is on the front of his jersey. That is so funny to watch. Mitch Marner scores for Team Canada and the entire hockey world looked at each other and said, right, so the first thing we're going to do is dunk on Leafs fans, right? Perfect.
I'm talking about buying in. We are all aligned as a hockey community about when the Leafs are going to catch a stray.
I'm sure there were even Czech fans who are upset who still partook in that. We're like, I mean, come on, we got to do it.
Had to happen.
Speaking of, Canada wins in overtime thanks to a gorgeous clutch overtime goal from Mitch Marner. And that game...
Maybe one of the craziest games I've watched in a long time.
Going from that to watching most of the US-Sweden game, I was like...
I needed that.
Yes, yeah.
I don't think my my central nervous system could have handled another 2 or 3 games today that were all insane.
That was the cigarette we all needed to watch.
Yes.
In the history of the world, present times included, there are
Could be big.
Oh yeah. There are so many near misses for events that nearly start world wars. There's a million things going on in the world right now that would start World War III. If the Canadian Olympic hockey team got knocked out on a winning goal with 6 players on the ice, that would have done it. That would have been the catalyst.
We'd have unburied our canoes from the backyard and we would have marched, I guess,
Portage
to Czechia. That's where we would have went.
I didn't even notice it, but we were talking about it beforehand. It's like something felt weird. Like Harley threw that puck right into was it Nemich's shin? Someone's shins on Czechia. And my first thought was, oh, you idiot. Like right into his shins. And then it felt like the break the other way was so fast with like, you didn't think it distinctly in the moment. You're like, oh, wow, they have a lot of guys going the other way all of a sudden. And not that doesn't happen. That happens a lot in hockey. Like, puck into the shins, play goes the other way, odd man break. But it's like, yeah, they never stopped having guys both in the defensive and offensive zone. And then, yeah, you look back, it wasn't even close. They had 6 guys in the defensive zone. 6 guys moved up the ice. There were 6 guys in the celebration after.
It's like, oh no, that's Palat. Oh no, that's Natchez. Oh no, that's Pasternak. Oh no, that's Hurdle. What? They didn't even try to hide it. Like you said, there were 6 guys. There might have even been 7 in the celebration of the goal.
I'll say, like, the poor officiating went both ways.
It was horrific.
That was a very bad game. Like, there was the call before McKinnon's tying goal, the second goal that Canada scored, that was a soft call. The non-calls on Sidney Crosby being obliterated with the puck nowhere near him by Palat in open ice, the soft call on Celebrini where the Czechia scored after, it went both ways. Like, it was terrible officiating where I'm like, what were you guys looking or not looking at? I think they need to look at that 4-man group and make sure that they're not going to be together or officiating the rest of the tournament.
To be completely fair, not a single person on the planet apparently saw that there were 6 Czech players on the ice.
No. I mean, the Canadian bench, it's on you to be screaming bloody murder the moment you see that. Like, how do you miss that?
Well, usually a too many men call is accompanied by some sort of chaos right near the bench, right?
Yeah.
These guys were just in the play.
It's like fake it till you make it.
Finland and Slovakia.
It's all about confidence.
That's right. Finland and Slovakia. You have your strategy. Go out there and do it. Just make sure that the one guy is kind of shorter than someone. Put him behind Slavkovsky. He'll fit behind him. Anyways, so Canada wins in overtime thanks to Marner. They got a late tying goal off Nick Suzuki, a great redirect who redeemed himself because he had a bad miss on a wide open net before in the game. And Canada escapes. But I'll tell you, I don't know. Do you keep Binnington in if you're John Cooper?
Oh, yeah. He made some monster saves and a couple big ones in overtime to keep Canada in it. And after the game, John Cooper basically said he made some key saves that kept us in the game. You can't mess around at this point with your goaltending. Let's say you go to Logan Thompson and he has a stinker, but you still win. So I guess you go back to Binnington. What if Thompson has a good game? Then you've got another problem.
And then you also have 2 injury questions. One, Sidney Crosby left that game hurt after an awkward collision. It wasn't Gudas's fault. Crosby just kind of went down weird as Gudas was hitting him. Looked like a knee thing, maybe MCL. Not sure if he'll be back this tournament. And then the defense looked rough without Morrissey, man. And
McKinnon's nursing something as well.
Yeah.
You just got to shoot these guys up with some maple syrup and get them going.
They need something. Because I'll tell you, Finland's not going to be a joke, like you mentioned, Evan. Like, they're going to be carrying that emotional energy. They're really figuring out their game.
Hope they don't.
Yeah, as the tournament goes on, though, like, you can only trust that the teams are going to be getting better. And then if they make it through, you either have the most on-fire team in the tournament in Slovakia, or, for my money, the team who I think is playing the best right now in terms of how they're positioned to win, an extremely well-defended, extremely well goaltended United States of America.
You think they're playing the best?
I think in terms of what they have going in.
Am I biased? Yes. but I will allow you to elaborate.
I just
Their
said
defense is in goaltending is exactly what I said the Canadians should and would be scared about at this
But I
point.
don't. The U.S. I don't see them at like. I don't see them right now as being that. Yes, I think their goaltending has been really good. Yes, their defense has been really good, but I don't see that sort of like we're the best instinct in them. You know, they're kind of just winning games and kind of doing it, which is also scary because if they're just like, hey, we're just going to go and win and we don't really care about any of the fluff, that's also not good for everyone else because they just have a strong confidence that they don't need to be super dynamic. They can just get the job done.
And the only team who has that mentality right now in the tournament is Slovakia, it feels like.
they're the only ones who have played to the peak of their potential of all the teams, I would argue. And they're the only ones who didn't need overtime to get here. Like, they are at the height of their powers right now, which, again, we all know might not be enough. But you can look at the States and point out a bunch of things where they're not playing well. I mean, I just had to watch a full game of Drew Doughty and Colton Parayko, and that did not inspire any confidence in Canadian defense. You know, Finland's without Barkov, they have their obvious questions. Like, it really is wide open, and it's going to come down to, with all due respect to Slovakia, it's going to come down to whoever figures their stuff out first.
Yeah, 100%.
I will say, though, the line of Celebrini, McDavid, McKinnon
Oh my God.
is maybe the best line I've ever seen play hockey. And, you know, little 12-year-old Evan watched Mario Lemieux in the Olympics, so forgive me if my memory's a little foggy, but watching those guys go up and down the ice and just hem every single team in by themselves is just, it's otherworldly, honestly.
When they put them together is when that quarterfinal game flipped, because Czechia was substantially outplaying Canada.
in the third as well.
Yeah, and then, where was it? 5-ish minutes into the second period is at least when I noticed that line was coming out regularly, and it felt up until the third Czechia goal that Canada had the gas pedal just hammered at that point. Still had their defensive meltdowns, but when they were on the ice, it was their puck until they deemed otherwise.
I feel like Celebrini, his ceiling or what people expected from him has just like, the roof has been shattered on that.
Oh, yeah.
Like, everyone thought, like, yeah, he's mature for his age, he'll go first overall, but what will he really be? And now I'm like, is he potentially a superstar, like, dare I say, semi-generational talent? Like, he does not look out of place playing with McKinnon and McDavid.
I think he's going to be closer to Crosby than people think.
He may be the third best player on that line, but I will argue he's been their third best player in this tournament.
He's like, what is he, 20 years old? Like, it's
19.
Not even. He's 19.
It's absurd.
It's a coming out party for people who don't watch any West Coast games. They might have a vague awareness that this kid's doing well, or maybe even not that. And, you know, as a fan and someone who covers the team in the East, I'm thankful he's in the West. And there's a lot of people discovering for the first time, though, that this kid is one of the best players on the planet already, and he's still just a kid. It's why the hype around him, it's almost unfair to Connor Bedard, right? Like, Connor Bedard's had a very different start to his career, of course, but still a great player already. But it's not fair to be compared to Celebrini and what he's able to do. I think, honestly, Connor Bedard could have fit in just fine into Team Canada's depth, but Celebrini is like, look at how the best players in the world, on other teams even, talk about how he plays.
I would take Tom Wilson out of the lineup right now and put in Connor Bedard.
When they were down 3-2, you better believe I was hoping that somehow I would see Connor Bedard and Mark Scheifele emerge from the rafters or something. But
yeah, I mean, this is the same for Team USA. There's so many guys that were left at home where you're like, yeah, in a low-scoring game, you bet they wanted Jason Robertson or Caulfield or DeBrincat.
Yeah, I will say this has been an ultimate teaser treat for Red Wings fans when they get to see Connor McDavid on the wings.
That's right.
2-3 seasons. So yeah, it's fun to look forward to.
Dylan Larkin, third line center, but it's behind Hughes and McDavid.
Of course.
We'll take that. That's pretty much the only way we would accept that.
no, I'd also accept him as a left winger on one of those top two lines.
Yeah, give him a little break as he, gets on the other side of 30, saves his legs a little bit. So, semifinals set again, Canada versus Finland, and then the States against Slovakia. Those are on Friday. And I mean, the next time we talk to you about the Olympics will be after the gold medal game. So that'll be recapping the rest of the tournament. As the Red Wings fared, Lucas Raymond, as we mentioned, one of the standout players, one of the, among the leaders in the entire tournament, scoring 5 games played, 1 goal, 8 assists, which is a Swedish team record for Olympic tournaments with NHL players in them. He passed Peter Forsberg, who had 6 in 2006. 9 points for Lucas Raymond. Again, points in every game he played. Moritz Seider, 5 games played, 2 assists, 26-16 average time on ice. Second in the tournament, only behind Miro Heiskanen, who had 5 seconds more time on ice per game played. But Seider had more overall time on ice. Like, he played more than anyone else this tournament who wasn't a goaltender. So thankful as a Red Wings fan, sad for Mo, but thankful he gets to come home and rest up a little bit. Dylan Larkin, who's off to the semis, 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 points through 4 games played, and a massive first goal of the tournament, first goal of his Olympic career today. And Edvards Trailmax for Latvia. 3 goals, 1 assist, 4 points for Latvia. Standout player for them, and I think he made a name for himself internationally, and he made a name for himself. I think this was noticed among the Red Wings organization, what he did at a pro level against the best in the world. Yeah. Great for him.
Even when we were in Grand Rapids, the one thing I couldn't get over with him is how friggin' fast he is.
Yeah.
God, that guy can skate.
Like, we knew he was almost like an anomaly in terms of the kind of production he had elsewhere. And when they brought him in, it's like, yeah, absolutely. This seems like a cool experiment. See what he can do over here. I was not projecting strong Olympic performance to be part of his Grand Rapids Griffins season. But here we are. So Trailmax deserves all the credit in the world, and kudos to him. He put it on for Latvia, who obviously they didn't end up going anywhere in the tournament, but he was still a big part of their performances. Raymond, I think the final takeaways here, though, if you were worried about Lucas Raymond and his shoulder, we saw enough this tournament to say he is back to full Lucas Raymond form. Like, I did not see him suffer in any way. Obviously, only scored just the 1 goal, a highlight reel goal.
Shoulders are going to be pretty sore carrying that uninspired Swedish roster.
Yeah.
So,
but evenly, both of them at least.
Yes, yeah.
Lugging them on his back.
My favorite part was, saw a lot of posts online of, oh man, this is Lucas Raymond's coming out party. What a stud this guy is. The whole world sees it. And if you were a prominent hockey media writer posting that today, you're showing your whole ass because you haven't been paying attention to the Red Wings for a couple of years.
He leads the Red Wings in points.
He led of all Swedish Olympians. He had the most points in the NHL this year. And I think he was like 8 points up on second place or something close like that. Like, listen, I understand fully. There have been a lot of reasons to not watch Red Wings hockey since he has got into the league. But it's good for him that everybody's noticing now, but this is just a further cementing just how much of a star this guy is.
Again, among all players in the tournament who aren't named McDavid or Celebrini, he is the next man up in terms of leading in points. 9 points through 5 games. Like, that's not a secret. It shouldn't have been a secret. You're right. He does this also consistently at international tournaments. So it sucks for Lucas. It was hard to watch the heartbreak because Sweden genuinely was like one well-placed shot, one moment away from moving on. But at the same time, as a Red Wings fan, you look at that, and I mean, most Red Wings fans being American, that was the best result for you because you get Lucas Raymond home early. He was on fire, so you know he's playing at the top of his game, and he has some time to rest before the season kicks back in. And again, same thing for Moritz Seider, who you knew he was going to be worked harder than anyone else in the tournament. So happy that didn't, from a Red Wings perspective, happy that he was able to make it through and just, knock on wood, didn't pick anything up in terms of injury. But, of course, still sad for him. All right, that was our... Actually, no, hold on. Predictions. Semifinals and finals predictions.
I'm not watching anymore because Italy's out.
That's right. Man, kudos to Italy. I know they didn't win. It's not like they pulled out any upsets. They went 0-3.
They almost upset Sweden. It was a little scary there for a minute.
Of all teams to go 4 goals for, 19 goals against, they made it look better than anyone else. That's part of Sweden having a terrible tournament, which we talked about, but kudos to them. They held their own. It's not like they got completely bulldozed, but they did it,
It didn't feel like a beatdown.
No.
There was a couple great moments for them, a lot of expected results, but I think they can hold their head high.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Predictions otherwise?
My pre-tournament prediction of Canada over the US in the gold medal game still holding strong, and both teams have given me reason to pause, which means that I have no reason to flip that prediction.
I am the exact same way, except my pre-tournament prediction of USA versus Canada in the finals holds. Both teams have given me a lot of pause, but I think more of the pause sits with what led me to choose the States over Canada in the finals, which is Canada's defense. I'm not sure about the goaltending, and the United States defense just looks really strong. So I'll stick with them. And Evan, you were wrong. You picked Canada over Sweden, so Lobsterdamus is a little rusty.
Yeah, again, some real mixed messages. It must be their meatballs that, clouded my mind.
Yeah, genuine Swedish meatballs, like from IKEA.
Yes, with my lingonberry sauce.
Your mind was cloudy with a chance of meatballs.
Yes,
It was right there, Evan.
That's a father of two.
I'll say this, Canada's got some question marks, and it has nothing to do with the defense, even though that is a massive question mark. It's what's the state of Sidney Crosby and what is the state of Nathan McKinnon. They get a day off, but it sounded like Crosby was getting an MRI done, which if you've got to get an MRI done, that's probably not a good sign. But if there's anybody on the planet who would be able to suit up for a game, it would be Sidney Crosby. I still think even if Sidney Crosby's not good enough to go, there's still a stronger team than Finland. I really hope today was just a flash in the pan from Finland getting their act together. Like that top line of Canada can't be stopped forever. So I've still got Canada in the finals. The US does not impress me like they impress you, Ryan. They let Sweden hang around, who I thought Sweden had a terrible tournament. That does not inspire a lot of confidence for me. They still have some game breakers. They have guys who can shoot the puck like nobody else, and Quinn Hughes is still otherworldly. I'm going to go with Slovakia.
Oh!
It's probably the stupidest thing I'll say today, which is a high...
Yeah, it's 7:48.
We got a lot of time to go here, but I've honestly loved what I've seen from their tournament. Like, if they get an early goal, I think that they can play a strong defensive game and quiet the U.S. down. Like, I just haven't loved the U.S. offense as a whole going through this tournament. So I'm crazy. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I had too much maple syrup today. Maybe I'm just a little crazy. Maybe I haven't had enough sleep today. Maybe too many poopy diapers have been clouding my mind as well.
Might just be getting his red, white, and blue teams mixed up.
That's right, yeah.
I don't know.
It's the jerseys, man. Those are sweet jerseys.
They really are.
You gotta, I just have extra confidence in a team that is fully aligned to one purpose and they're playing to their maximum potential. Is that enough to beat the US? I would say 9 times out of 10, maybe not, but in a single elimination game, they get some good opportunities and they convert. I don't think Czechia had a great tournament and they scared the shit out of Canadians today. Why can't a better Slovakian team do that against the States?
All right. There you have it. I appreciate that's the Italian guts in you to make that prediction.
That's right.
Evan. All right, we're going to go to a quick break to hear from the sponsors of the Wing Wheel podcast. Back after this. Streaming content online without ExpressVPN is like paying for full season hockey tickets, but only being allowed to sit in the concourse. There's more out there. You just can't access it. Streaming platforms decide what you see based on your location. That's the reality of it. ExpressVPN, they let you change your online location by routing your connection through secure servers in over 100 countries. So you can unlock more of the library instead of being stuck with a fraction of it. So they get you out of the concourse. We've found ExpressVPN to be the best VPN for a lot of reasons. First, it's blazing fast. You can stream in HD with no buffering. Secondly, it works on all your devices, phones, laptops, tablets, smart TVs, whatever you have. So wherever you're watching, you're covered. And it's incredibly simple. Open the app, choose a location, tap once, and done. For us, we use ExpressVPN to watch There Will Be Blood, one of our all-time favorite movies, and The IT Crowd, a great show to have on in the background when they weren't available in our region. Just opened the app, selected a different country, refreshed the platform, and there they were. No sketchy workarounds, no lag. So be smart. Stop paying full price for streaming services and only getting access to a fraction of their content. Get your money's worth at expressvpn.com/wingedwheel. Don't forget to use our link at expressvpn.com/wingedwheel to get up to 4 extra months of ExpressVPN today. When your team goes on a cold streak, you tweak the lines. When your power play isn't clicking, you adjust the structure. But when your hair starts thinning, a lot of guys just try to ignore that and hope it fixes itself. The reality is, when hair starts to thin, confidence can take a hit too. That's where Hims comes in. Hims provides access to medications and licensed medical providers all through a 100% online process that fits your schedule and not the other way around. They offer convenient access to prescription hair loss treatments with ingredients that work, including oral medications, chews, serums, and sprays. These are doctor-trusted ingredients that can help stop further hair loss and regrow hair in as little as 3 to 6 months if you're prescribed. You complete an online intake form, you answer a series of questions, and a licensed medical provider reviews your information to determine what's right for you. No awkward pharmacy line before puck drop, just straightforward, personalized care on your schedule with no hidden fees or surprise costs, nothing like that. Now, this part's important. For simple online access to personalized and affordable care for hair loss, ED, weight loss, and more, visit hims.com/wingedwheel. That's hims.com/wingedwheel for your free online visit. hims.com/wingedwheel. Featured products include compounded drug products, which the FDA does not approve or verify for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. See website for full details, restrictions, and important safety information. Individual results may vary based on studies of topical and oral minoxidil and finasteride. I gotta say, everything coming out about Quinn Hughes and talking about Dylan Larkin being one of his best friends and all the reporting of Larkin skating with the Hugheses and being family friends and all the connections. You said it just now before we came back, Brad. This is setting a long campaign of what will end up being false hope for Red Wings fans. We've been hurt before and we are not strong enough to say no to this, you know?
We're just going to turn into that Hawkeye meme. Don't give me hope.
But we'll take it because we're weak.
Because we are going to run with it.
Because we all watched what Quinn Hughes did today. And we're like, yeah, we would like that. A hot take is that I think he's good at hockey. And he'd sure be good at hockey. Oh, God, it just frustrates me so much because, like, you know, he wins. Like, he did it. But Bill Guerin getting to celebrate that Quinn Hughes overtime winner, you're like, God, please don't stay in Minnesota, man. Please come to Detroit. Anyways, okay. Over to Detroit news. If I were to tell you that over the break, it was announced that Simon Edvinsson had actually had knee surgery, how would you have felt?
First question, how big was the instrumentation used for said knee surgery? Microscopic? I feel slightly okay.
Relative to the size of his knees, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. It's all microscopic, but
no,
that's alarming. That is surprising for sure.
They actually used a belt sander.
God, bro. Actually, if you've seen a lot of some of those surgeries are like, they're brutal.
I've heard hip surgery is like old school, like
isn't that what hip resurfacing is?
Okay. We're gonna have to mark this rated R. Anyways.
I almost threw up.
Yeah, that was
oh, you guys are soft.
I
love it.
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you? I think I've told this on the show, but we were coming home from a trip somewhere and I put on the Connor McDavid like documentary about how he was trying to get back. And they were like talking like in graphic detail about like his knee surgery, his broken leg or whatever it was. And I had to turn it off. I was sitting on the plane thinking I was going to throw up. That's the only reason why I couldn't be a doctor or a surgeon.
That's right, yeah.
Was the blood and gore.
So why you're not a doctor?
Too. Yeah. I can't watch. I don't do good with blood draws, and I'm like, yeah, you know, maybe if it's even for the patient. So I just, out of respect for the profession, I stopped pursuing
exactly. It's all about integrity.
That's right.
But to answer the question, if you had told me Simon Edvinsson had knee surgery, I would have informed you, well, our season is in fact over.
And lo and behold, that's not the case because Todd McClellan says Simon Edvinsson is expected back and should be ready to play for Detroit's return at the end of the month, February 26th, which is great. So Simon talked about, you know, he could have tried to just power through the pain in his knee after that Leafs game where he aggravated it and took the shots to it and just really kind of piled onto that injury. And he could have waited till the end of the season, but the pain was just too much. And he talked about standing on it the next day and how much it hurt and just timed it really well with the surgery. And so thankfully missed a good chunk of games, which Detroit felt, but timed it well with the break and should be ready to return. So we'll see his form. It's going to be both rust and let's see what lingering effects from the surgery, but any Simon Edvinsson is better than no Simon Edvinsson. Like if Simon Edvinsson's playing at 50%, that is a net improvement for this Red Wings defense. And I think you can assume he'll be a little bit more than 50% at the very least. So that is great news for Detroit.
And he's got a bit of runway. There's a week and a half left till there's a Red Wings game, and he's already skating. So it's not the same as game intensity, but at least he'll have a pretty good idea of how the knee's feeling by the time it rolls around.
Yeah, and it'll be good with Seider on his way back too. He'll get reps in with his D partner. We'll see how he actually eases back into gameplay, but it won't take long if all goes well for him to be up with Seider, if it's not instant. And so it'll be nice for them to have some stability on that top pair again.
Yeah, they'll know how strong his knee is and how ready he is to play 20 plus minutes a game. If he's 60, if we got 60% Simon Edvinsson, they can scale his minutes accordingly, because right now it's not the objective. The objective is to be in the playoffs and have Simon Edvinsson as close to 100% then. If Simon Edvinsson has to play 60% on the second pair, then so be it.
Yeah, I fully agree. And not that Detroit can just phone it in, but we talked recently about what their numbers are to get into the playoffs. They need to do well, and they can't just coast, but they don't need to do as well as they did to get to this point. Just close to it is good enough, or at least it should be, as the math dictates. So he's the kind of player where you need a player, especially like him, hot take, you need one of your best defensemen in the playoffs, but with the kind of physicality that playoff game is going to bring, you want him healthy then. So that's a really good point, Evan. And with the wear and tear on so many important Red Wings this season, you are seeing some signs of confidence, especially when we had so much anxiety coming into this tournament. Like Lucas Raymond was on fire up until his tournament ended, and that is a great sign. Dylan Larkin, let's see how these next two games go for him, but he's not had a massive role for Team USA. He hasn't taken on that team by storm like he did at Four Nations. I still think he'll have more of an emerging role as he seems to be catching fire, but he's not out there a ton right now. So fingers crossed that he escapes the tournament healthy. Mo Seider logged a ton of minutes. You're never going to avoid that, but stayed healthy and is coming home, isn't playing any more games. It was never going to go perfect for Detroit. Perfect means all the guys were at home resting, not playing any hockey, but within the reality of there was an Olympic break. This is, knock on wood here, as best as you could have hoped for as a Red Wings fan in terms of what you need coming out of the Olympic break to get back to winning ways and win some key games.
Yeah, no one sustained a Kevin Fiala level injury. No one sustained a Sidney Crosby potential injury. For the most part, guys are coming away with maybe just some bumps and bruises and a little bit of extra lactic acid in their legs. But I would say everything's been pretty darn good for Red Wings fans coming out of the Olympics.
Now, you two knock on wood for saying this when Dylan Larkin still has 2 games left.
That's what I said. Yeah, we'll see how the next 2 games go.
Dylan Larkin wasn't at the top of his game going into the Olympics, and hopefully scoring a big goal today will
ignite
him a little bit. But yes, maybe knock on wood, because even having a 60% Larkin is better than a 0% Larkin.
Yeah, I mean, although at times we've been like, why do we have a 60%? Why is there a 60% Larkin right now?
That's true. We've seen what that looks like.
I'll take 90, 85 even. That'd be great.
Yeah.
We'll see how it pans out. Let's jump into NHL wide notes. Not that this is, based in a ton or it's out there, but we've been talking about different players that could be acquired from teams that are selling, and the New York Rangers are one of them. And I want to get your takes on a New York Ranger that wasn't discussed a lot in terms of who could be on the outs. But someone raised a point, which I thought was fair. What if Gavrikov looks at the situation in New York and is like, this isn't exactly what I signed up for?
I find that, would I take a Gavrikov? Yes.
Hot take.
The Red Wings cannot afford to not improve their defense. You had to know a little bit what you were walking yourself into, right? Like, did he maybe take the biggest contract available? I will never really know. But you had to know that it's a little volatile going to the Rangers in the year 2026.
I think there is a lot of one-to-one comparisons here to Artemi Panarin, in the sense that when Panarin went to the Rangers, they were literally in the early stages of a rebuild. He did not want to go there because Rangers. He wanted to go there because New York City. And with the way it was all reported, at least when Gavrikov ended up there, seemed to have a lot of the same vibes. So even though the Rangers might suck, he might be content because he's in New York City.
Probably. I mean, it stands to reason. Yeah, if he went there for that reason, he would stay for that reason. But man, if there's any inkling, that's one where I'm like, I was annoyed by how cheap he signed there with how much the cap is going up and has gone up. That would be a hell of an ad. And at this point, you're talking about adding in other guys who you're going to have to give up a lot for anyways. So if by some chance you can peel him away from the Rangers, add him to the list of guys I'd be all over. We talked about Robert Thomas a lot. I don't think we've talked about Jordan Kyrou enough either as another player. We have mentioned him in the past, but he's almost the name that's more out there for St. Louis. He's the guy who's, if there's issues in the room or in terms of clashing personalities between player and coaches or player and whoever else, Kyrou's been at the top of that quite a bit. How do you feel about adding him and his offensive prowess? Different than Thomas, but still would be quite a big offensive addition.
I'd feel fantastic.
27 years old, turning 28 in May. He's a, perennial 70-ish point player, give or take.
Brings a lot of speed, brings a lot of offense, is cost controlled for a good long while still. The only downside really is the Red Wings got to be the one team in the league that are flush with right-handed forwards. And he would be another one,
shot.
but
yeah.
I don't think the Red Wings are in a position to get picky with handedness at forward. So he's not my first choice on the market right now, but he's closer to the top than he is slipping out of the top 5. I'll tell you that.
He's not on pace for it this season, but the previous 3 seasons, 36, 31, and 37 goals respectively.
And the Blues suck, so that probably has a lot to do with it.
Yeah. So would add a hell of an amount of goal scoring and offense and would solve a lot too. And I mean, if you look at the price of guys, I don't think St. Louis is giving up anyone cheap. Definitely not. But
the problem is there's so many teams this year that think they're making the playoffs, so that the supply is low, demand is high. It's the cost on even marginal players theoretically is going to be absurd.
8.125 through 2030, 2031, and full no trade clause as well.
Yeah, that's going to unless he's like, I'm going to one team, the cost on that is going to be insane.
But I mean, that's the theme of a ton of guys. The cost on guys that score or produce half as much of him is going to be insane. So I'd rather do it. Same as Thomas, who is more of a catch because of the positionality, of course. But
after watching the Olympics, I am become more of the just go get a elite / superstar level player. I don't care anymore.
Don't care.
Because it's such a treat to watch some of these. Such a treat to watch Connor McDavid play for your team. I'm like, yeah, obviously, we're not going to get Connor McDavid yet. But to get a true superstar level player, why not? I'm here to be entertained. I don't need to watch the mucking and the grinding. Go show me someone who can dangle and score 40 goals.
Yeah, like if you had Quinn Hughes on your team, you keep him and there's no way you mess that up because that just changes your team, right? There's absolutely no way you would ever lose him.
Yes, of course.
It can't just be Leafs fans who
Can
catch
I
strays today.
interject as well? Because
you may, Evan.
I should have brought this up earlier when we were talking about Sweden, but the number of people who tweet directly at me because Elias Pettersson scores a couple goals is absurd. You all need to get a life and get over yourselves. Like, it's just insane. It's absolutely insane. He scores 2 goals once, and everyone thinks he's the second coming of Austin Matthews scoring 69 goals.
You know how you can tell Evan only recently re-downloaded Twitter after years and years and years of not using it?
Patterson's done a lot for his...
People need a hobby, and it's not mentioning me when Elias Pettersson does something.
I hope beyond hope the Red Wings get Thomas or some other Grand Slam. But man, if they get Pettersson, that's gone back to being extremely funny.
I don't even dislike... Everyone has changed this into Evan doesn't like Elias Pettersson thing.
I think you've said that word for
I think
word.
you've said verbatim.
No.
No, I'm gonna go back and look at the tape.
You
for the
might
first
have
time
fully,
ever.
literally said,
You know,
I don't
maybe
like
I
that
did.
guy.
Today is a weird day. I'm saying some weird stuff today. But if he turns his game around, then I will be all on board with this. Right now, I'm saying I don't think that's ever going to happen, and I don't think it's worth the risk or the cost to do it. But if I'm wrong, I will be the first. I will buy a full Elias Pettersson head-to-toe Red Wings kit and go take a shootout on Sebastian Cossa.
He's my number one trade target now after that rant. Because I just want to do the episode where you do the intro, welcome to the Winged Wheel podcast, we all say our names, and then just go, Evan, so Elias Pettersson, and then we just watch him do mental gymnastics for 45 minutes.
Elias Pettersson is going to be sitting right there.
I will move heaven and earth. I don't know what I'm gonna have to get in touch with his agent. I'm like, I know this isn't your thing. I need to pay for an appearance. This isn't a media interview. This is an ambush.
It's gonna be one of those awkward interviews like between two ferns where
Yes.
two people just stare at each other.
But yeah, somehow neither of you are Zach Galifianakis.
Oh, thank God.
We're gonna have to prime him. We're gonna just make a highlight reel of you saying the words literally, I do not like Elias Pettersson.
Yeah, I know. I've said some incriminating things in the past 5 minutes.
You just gave me the best visual in my mind. Evan and Elias Pettersson between two ferns. Them just sitting there staring at each other awkwardly. Elias eventually goes to break the silence. Hello. And Evan just with his hands in his face in his hands. Shut the hell up.
This is on the record. This is Elias Pettersson, the person, probably a great dude. There's nothing to do with that. It is the cost involved in acquiring Elias Pettersson at the dollar amount he makes for the 100-point season is why I'm so staunchly against it.
Don't care. That one episode will be worth it.
Agreed. I didn't disagree with that.
He had that 2 goals, and I was like, okay, maybe this is going to be a tournament that wakes a lot of teams up, and then that's what Vancouver needs to get the market going for him. But then, much like the rest,
he had
of Sweden,
one good period after that. I'm like, all right, see you later.
He blended in with the rest of the team. I think with Pettersson, it's like at his best, he might be able to drive the play and be a difference maker. At his worst, he's a really talented player who, in the right situation, you can extract that from him. But sometimes a lot of times, Vancouver fans will tell you the play drivingness will go away from him with the other qualities that you can debate about.
He's making $7 million. I'm very, very interested. It's like, if this doesn't work out, we'll plop him on the third line, paying a guy $7 million to play third line center, and he may or may not find it one day in this contract. Okay. But at that kind of cost, there's so many other guys I'm more interested in.
Yeah, 11.6 is quite a bit. But we'll have this debate closer to the trade deadline. Okay. We are going to take another quick break here. When we're back, the final segment on this episode of the Winged Wheel podcast, back after this.
We're going to overtime.
Overtime is brought to you by our Patreon supporters, patreon.com/wingedwheelpodcast. If you want to support the show, join the Dub Club and get access to great benefits like our bonus overtime episodes, which record right after these main ones. We let loose, we have fun. If you thought Evan was unhinged in this is a small preview of what he's like in the bonus episodes. You also get access to our Patreon exclusive Discord, and you're automatically entered into all of our giveaways. A lot of our exclusive merch that we can't sell because it's officially licensed Red Wings gear, we keep back some of it as well, and we use it for future giveaways for patrons. Also, we give away 2 tickets to every Detroit Red Wings home game, going directly to our Patreon supporters. So again, patreon.com/wingedwheelpodcast. There are some themes in our overtime questions from our patrons today.
Why did you look at me?
Oh, no reason.
Okay.
No reason. Let's start with a couple questions. Rocky Mountain Red Wing asks, how about starting the Zibanejad trade rumor, cheaper than Thomas and good chemistry with Raymond? And then there was another question. There was actually a lot of comments about this, but Shot, for example, also said the Team Sweden, Lucas Raymond to Zibanejad connection is real. Let's do that on the Red Wings. What do you guys think that trade would cost? So to talk about Rangers who could be on the move, Zibanejad is a guy whose future is in question. He is at $8.5 million through 2029-2030. He is currently 32 years old, another right shot forward, Brad. But if that's a connection there, he's past his best days, but still a very productive player, nearly a point per game player on a terrible Rangers team this season.
Just don't look at his last couple seasons, and maybe this is the aberration, or maybe this is the bounce back. At his age, I don't think it's sustainable.
Well, last two seasons, he played all but one game, and not counting the season before 62 points, the season before that 72 points, and then you go back 91 and 81. So obviously not at the height, but still 62 points it'd be great forward for the Red Wings to add.
It's still really good, but it's the trend, right? And coupled with the age, and then factor in the contract. I'm a big Mika Zibanejad guy, but this is the textbook. Don't get fooled by the heater, you know what I mean? And especially a short tournament like the Olympics. All that being said, I don't even think it matters because every report has been Mika Zibanejad is staunch. He's not waiving his no move. He wants to stay in New York.
Yeah, that's a full no move. So it would have to be that, things get bad enough there and New York puts enough pressure on him. $8.5 million through age 37. It's a lot of money, but at the same time, the cap's going up by a ton. So if by some chance you can get him very cheap,
I think the Rangers, if he was willing to waive, would give him to the Red Wings just to unload that contract. I don't think there would be a return.
Okay.
Great. It would have to be some pretty heavy recruiting by Lucas, though. Upish says, how has Larkin looked to you guys on Team USA? I thought he played well against Sweden, not injured at all. Yeah, this was, I thought, his best, for obvious reasons, the goal, his best performance, but he looked more energized. He hasn't looked different this tournament than he did for the Red Wings for, the last couple months, which tracks, right? And it's not, you're not happy to see that, but as a Red Wings fan, you're like, okay, it's not like he was hiding anything in the tank and saving it for the Olympics. He hasn't taken over like he did against Four Nations.
He doesn't need to carry the load like he does with the Red Wings, right? Like, the U.S. is absolutely stocked with elite talent. So it's going to sound harsh, but he can kind of blend in, but that's a positive. Like, he can just help pull the chain with everybody else. So I thought he's been fine.
We'll see how the next couple games go, but I'm curious to see if things ramp up for him. You kind of do want to see that, though, even from a Red Wings perspective. Obviously, for Team USA and cheering for that, yeah, great. But from a Red Wings perspective, you hope that this kickstarts something like you mentioned, Evan. And if it's just about him getting healthier, yeah, not carrying the load and playing lighter minutes might be what he needed if it wasn't full rest, but that obviously wasn't going to happen. Nate Grady says, what's up with the no fighting in the Olympics? I have no idea about how hockey rules for that aspect work. Also, Expensive Pettersson at Olympics seemed a little bit more involved. Does it move the meter? That's why I kept looking at you, Evan. A lot of people mention Expensive Pettersson.
It does not.
EP40 stands for Expensive Pettersson 40. But the no fighting at the Olympics, yeah, that is double IHF rules versus NHL rules. So at Four Nations, you had NHL rules, so you could have that, amazing tilt right off the drop for Canada, USA, for example. But international rules means if you fight, you're suspended, which is why
Tom Wilson has a Gordie Howe hat trick in IHF rule set or a game, whatever you want to call it.
And didn't even get the suspension.
Incredible.
That was so funny because that Cronin guy, the French guy, who's like the most hated player in France, they suspended their own player. But that Wilson just didn't think that they were going to be scrapping. And then Cronin, who's obviously strong, just whips Wilson down. And the moment Wilson got up, you could see he was seeing red. And Cronin turtled right away.
Smart.
That was the biggest rat move. And he won that altercation.
Well, Florida's a little short-handed right now. Maybe they need to bolster their lineup.
He had Florida written all over him. I don't know, though. You don't need the Four Nations full line brawl every tournament, but I do think I lean towards the IIHF rules being a bit soft. There's certain things I think they get right, but the suspension for a fight, I'm like, okay, come on.
Yeah, it's, maybe it protects the smaller nations. Like if Canada's out there just literally beating up Italian players, that's not a good look. Like if Tom Wilson goes out there and just pumps a couple guys' eyes shut on the Italian team who are in a different class than everybody else, that's probably not great. But for the big boys, like these are pro athletes, like most of them can fight in their own domestic leagues. Like,
yeah,
I think it's probably better that there's not, honestly.
I think the one thing that I think about, and this is less to do about the rules, but more about the upcoming agreements between the NHL and the IIHF, is they have to get something figured out with the IIHF for the World Cup, because right now it has to be NHL players because they don't have that agreement with the IIHF. They have time for 2028, but I want Slovakia in that tournament. You're going to tell me a top 4 team minimum is not going to be in that tournament? Because you need to be able to field or ice a team with all NHL players, but they have to figure that out.
I think you basically take the top 8 teams that qualified into the quarterfinals, maybe even a little bit more if you want to have some of the play-in teams or have a quick play-in round for that tournament. I think those are kind of your teams.
Yeah, but it's about the amount of NHLers that they have per the current arrangement, because the NHL doesn't have an agreement with the IIHF. I don't think. I could be wrong. Things could have changed. But as things stand, this isn't a IIHF tournament where they're sending their players, so to speak. So guys who are over in Europe who are
I see
play, yeah. Like I think
they have to find a way to make that happen, especially if Slovakia ends up meddling in some capacity. Like it's a no-brainer. Like if you want to grow the sport outside of North America, it has to happen.
Josh says Quinn Hughes is pretty good. Would having him over Edvinsson mean a lot more to this team's future? A point per game player seems worth that trade-off when we have one of the best defensive players in the game. Obviously, it's in the past now, but hopefully we make a real effort to get him in the future. Yeah, even when this was being discussed at the time, nobody reasonable was saying that this team was better net with Simon Edvinsson than Quinn Hughes. It was more about, is the trade-off in age and other assets you would spend worth it when adding Quinn Hughes but deleting Simon Edvinsson? How much does that improve the team? It doesn't improve it by 1 Quinn Hughes. It improves the team by 1 Quinn Hughes minus what Simon Edvinsson brings to his team, minus everything you'd have to give up in that trade. So, I mean, you look at the trade that Minnesota made, it would have been quite a few assets.
And all for potentially only a year and a half.
We know now that Quinn Hughes is pretty interested in Detroit, so that saga might not be over, but yeah, that's ultimately what it came down to for Yzerman. And I'm not sitting here and saying that was guaranteed to be the right call, because I think Hughes would have signed based on what we know now. But that's the thinking. The Chancellor VC says Seider has already announced himself as a Norris-type defenseman this season, but with what Raymond just did in the Olympics, that's got to be drawing some attention from players making the wings an even more tantalizing landing spot. Really, hopefully, CVY has used this break to get some work done behind the scenes. And I'll add, I hope the players have done some work. Like Lucas Raymond has taken over Team Sweden. He's the future. He's a present of that team's offense. I think that matters. I think Seider on defense matters. I think Raymond on offense matters. I think players are going to be looking at those guys in free agency and waiving no trade or no move clause situations in future and saying, yeah, I want to go play on Raymond's line or next to Mo Seider. For sure, I think so.
Yeah, players want to play with the best. So I think the Red Wings making the playoffs this year is another part of the equation. Like you could be the best guy, the greatest teammate on the world, but if your team stinks, nobody's going there. So the Red Wings can help this situation, the self-promotion, by making the playoffs.
Frank the Tank says, on a scale of 1 to 10, how awkward do you think the handshake between JT Miller and Pettersson was after overtime?
Just purple nurpled him.
As usual, JT Miller at fault for a goal against that nearly cost his team, but still, went after Pettersson after the game just for old time's sake. It's actually kind of a crime that we did get some kind of huge collision between them.
I agree. They should have done like the Four Nations face-off center ice tilt.
100%.
Just bury the hatchet.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, JT Miller strikes me as the kind of guy who wants to bury the hatchet.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
He wants to bury a hatchet.
Somewhere. Enjoying a hockey with my buds says when someone goes to an Olympic Games and they're nursing an injury, like we believe Larkin may be, do they hide it from the other players and coaches? Obviously, if guys know you're hurt and where you're hurt, they can use that against you in the playoffs. If Larkin is hurting, I'm sure both of the Tkachuk brothers would love to report that to the guys on their teams. Love the show. Thanks for all you do. You can't really hide it fully, I would say. Like, I would imagine if this is the case with Larkin, Team USA knows to some capacity. I mean, you're saying like, hey, this is what I'm dealing with, but I'm good enough to go. I'm here. How much of it is out for the rest of the team? It really just depends on the situation, right? Like, it's never going to be the same guy to guy. Are there situations where teams take information that players bring back to them from the Olympics? Has it happened in the past? I would bet all my money, the very little that I have, that it has happened in the past, for sure. But it's the nature of these tournaments. Like, when you're there, you're all about the nation you represent. And when you're back, you're all about the team on your crest. And if you're Mitch Marner, it's always about, you're only about the Maple Leafs when it's the national team and not your NHL team. But still, yeah, guys bring some information back.
For sure.
And it's funny. You see guys who are just hugging and crying and singing their national anthem together a couple weeks before. And then sometimes you'll see them in a tilt or like grinding in the corners or jawing at each other. It's the stupidest sport, but it's the best sport in the world for that reason. I love it. It's a beautiful game.
You take mortal enemies, put them on the same team, and they're all of a sudden best friends. And then 2 weeks later, they're squaring up at center ice.
Yeah. I saw a lot of complaints about the time of the gold medal game. I'm like, man, it really shows that it's been a long time since we've had Olympics. I think watching the gold medal game at an unholy hour is one of the beautiful things about the
What
Olympics.
time's it on?
It's like 8 a.m. Eastern.
Perfect.
Which sucks. I mean,
A little
if you're in the
breakfast
Pacific,
beer, here we go.
Yeah. On a Sunday.
I literally remember the 2014 games. I woke up at 6 a.m. or whatever it was, watched the whole gold medal game, and then left for work.
Yeah.
This is better.
Next question here from AS. I'm going to read the whole thing. I'm just going to leave it there. Says, if there was a Russian team in these Olympics, how far do you think they could go? Could they contend for a medal? I mean, yeah, based on how this tournament has gone.
They have the best goaltending in the world.
Yeah, their center depth is old and also non-existent, but Malkin's having an amazing year. Like, yeah, 100%.
Their medical team is also number one in the world. Those get the Russian gas and they'll turn the clock back 10 years.
Just the best. They recover from injuries quicker than anyone else.
It's shocking.
That's why they're not in the Olympics. It's not the same situation as the IIHF in hockey. They got kicked out for doping.
Go watch Icarus. State-sponsored doping in Russia is like...
It's crazy.
Having your daily morning vodka.
The peptide craze that has taken over here, that's been in Russia for a while.
Yeah, they are way past that. That's old news for them.
Yeah. No, but I think with how this tournament, 100% they could have been one of the semifinal teams.
Single elimination game with some of the goaltending that they have, they could easily win games 1-0, no problem.
Jack's dad says, how much longer can the Red Wings use the lack of a number one overall pick as an excuse that our rebuild is taking forever? Seider and Raymond have been playing like first and second overall picks, maybe not like a McDavid first, but a far better than a Slafkovsky or Powers first. And the underlying numbers say as much. It's one of those things where in practice, I'm going to say, no, you can't use that excuse forever because only one team wins first overall pick. And at the same time, at some point in the tournament, I think if you look at all the tournament leading scores, it was like 6 of them. The top 6 were first overall picks. Like, it has staying power. And even you said Slafkovsky. I mean, he looks great right now. So can you use it as an excuse forever? No, you're right. You absolutely can't. But it does have a meaningful impact. And even for teams who have, call it the lesser first overall picks, they're still pretty happy. The New Jersey Devils are a mess right now. I think they're still pretty happy with Jack Hughes. The Montreal Canadiens did not get a Macklin Celebrini in their year, but I think they're still pretty happy with Juraj Slafkovsky with how he's going. I think it matters.
I think we talked about this a few episodes ago where I think the tragedy, if you want to call that, of the Red Wings rebuild wasn't where they were picking, it was when they were tanking. Just there wasn't the McDavids, Matthews, Celebrinis, Bedards of the world at the top of the draft. And given the lack of, call it elite talent at the top of the drafts. They did about as well as you could have possibly hoped for out of most of those drafts. So getting the lottery or not, even if they won the lottery a bunch of those years, they might still end up with the same players depending on what their flavor was going into the draft, right? So I don't really take it as much of an excuse anymore, but I will still use it to prod the NHL to say you owe us.
Yeah, I'll take that. I don't know how. You just bring Macklin over here. Okay, we are going to take another quick break, and when we're back, we're going to wrap up this episode of the Wing Wheel Podcast back after this. All right. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Wind Wheel Podcast. We are going to be back with you on Sunday. We're going to record right after the gold medal game. And so we'll have a full recap and analysis on that. And you'll know whether or not Evan had the ballsiest prediction ever, or you get to laugh at him multiple episodes in a row. Appreciate all the sponsors of the Winged Wheel Podcast and to all of our Patreon supporters. Patreon.com/Winged Wheel Podcast if you want to support the show and join the Dub Club. Again, the bonus episodes, the Discord, the giveaways, all of that and lots more. And if you want to help us out and go the extra mile, but not in a Patreon way, if it's not for you, that's totally okay. Wherever you get your podcast, if you just want to hit that subscribe button, the like, the rating, the review, the stars, a heart, tell a friend about the show, all little ways that add up to a lot in terms of how you can help the Winged Wheel Podcast. Thank you all for tuning in for 11 years of the show, 900 episodes, and all the other content that we've put out, and cannot thank you enough. To our name level supporters on Patreon, this is all about you. Arjun Shanker, Yves Bartels on behalf of the Sarah Grant Foundation, Aikfer, Martin Norberg, THL Champ, Samuel Soderholm, Klaus Sorensen, Mikkel Predstrup, Glenn Brabham, Rain Dano, Below Average Ball Hockey Goalie, Matthew M. Rice, Darby EQ, Sea Lion, Detroit Style, Deep Dish Cider, Bingo Bango, Hassam Al-Qassam, Asher Killian, Kaylin Wood, Alex Toger, That's What I Appreciate's About You, Derek Enstam, Matt McKay, Andy Hardcore, Sam Bankson, Citizen High Five, R.A., Aaron Hudson, Admiral Matt S. at the Cheesebag Navy, The El Catos, Stephen Ortlieb, Jonathan Miller, Give Blood Fight Probert, DJ Denton, Carl Brutinanaluski, Raul Pud, Jay Gollum, Settlers of Catan Stan, John Ingalls, Alex Benilla, CB55, Connor Scovey, Adam Zuiza, Adam Rose, Denny's, Gamer Girl, Drinking Bailey's from a Shoe, Hockeytown Matt, Mr. Kuzi, Chaotic Monkey, Craig Kibble, Iserplan Stan, Clip Clop Nene, Podgy713, Unapologetic Gibson Truther, Griffin Not from Grand Rapids, Winter Knight, brand new name level supporter, Marty, Kazi the OG13, Jeff Pridemore, Eric Hill, Butts Carlton, Best James Bond, Beer League Legend, Alec, Mark Hernandez, Sim Smitty Cards, Grand Rapids Girly, Anna Sleeman, William, Mike, Asher, August, Brian Munn, Improved But Flawed, Chris 99 Jones, Trevor Centerfit, Adams Red Wings Takes, Kurt Chin, Adam Ernie Slander, Kachuk Brothers, Walk to Church, Daniel Morosky, Zach Mounts, brand new name level supporter, Logan Stahl, brand new name level supporter. Thank you all so much for joining the Dub Club. Can't say thank you enough. General Andy Bohan of the Cheesebag Army, Quaz, Dylan Larkin Trade Sacrifice, the IOC here to take this episode down, Banana is Larger, Matt Keeler, Linda Hull, Connor Leighton, Good Cop, Brad Cop, Josh Yelton, Brad Simmons, Darren Fick, Bex, the Hodag, the Hat 123, Daddy Pastor Jake, the I Found the Forbidden Fruit and It Was a Peach, 200-foot high compete, Maximilian, Commander Ben Barron of the Cheeseback Space Force, Sandin-Pellikka's Pet Pelican, Griffey Boy, JM Rhapsody, Frank Stanley, Rosie Posey, That Other Guy, Pucking, Puck, Tom Iserplan, Respector, Carl Thames, Nerno, Stephen, A.A. Ron, Corey Prida, All Motor No Hands, Gene Sullivan, Sticky Britches, James Pridemore, Upernadian, Adrock, Jablonski, Drop the Puck, Eric Nance, and Stanislavski, Jim, Bellingham Balls, Peter Swanson, Wings fan in St. Louis, Scott, Lucas Raymond, Cops, Gump Lip, Trent Thorough, Grepsky, Evan Beckner, C.E. Hayes, Finney to the Rafters, Jacob Marsh, Falkness, Fight Night at the Joe, Axels, Sandy Pelican, The Octopi's Ninth Leg, Finny the Pooh, I'm Evan, you're Evan, we're all Evan, Cassidy Hart, new name level supporter. Welcome, Cassidy, to the Dub Club and your second favorite patron. Thank you all so very much. Talk to you after the gold medal game.
Thanks for tuning in to the Winged Wheel Podcast. Be sure to visit wingedwheelpodcast.com, where you'll find links to subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. You'll also find ways to support the show, like Patreon, official podcast merchandise, and more. And don't forget to follow us on X at Winged Wheel Pod, at Ryan Hanna, WWP, at Brad Crisco, and at Hockeytown Evan, as well as Winged Wheel Podcast on Instagram.